my God. I couldn't believe it when I saw it in my feed. Oh, I have got to hear about this. Oh my God.
New trilogy confirmed. Simon Kinberg will write and produce the only Star Wars trilogy currently in active development at Lucasfilm. Addressing past missteps, this project seeks to avoid the sequel era's lack of planning by following a single guiding vision. Well,
they had a single guiding vision of the sequel trilogy. We know exactly what they were doing, who they were pushing, what they were promoting, what propaganda. We know it all. What are you talking about?
That's good news. Green light still pending. Lucasfilm leadership may wait for upcoming film performances before committing to full production. That's silly because it's so dependent on what film that they release. Like Kathleen Kennedy said that Solo bombed, so therefore they're not going to do movies for a long time. And then they went all to like Disney Plus stuff. It didn't bomb because it was necessarily bad or ruining canon. It bombed because of The Last Jedi that came before. That was really the first sign of Star Wars fatigue. People just stopped caring.
Apathy is death.
Lucasfilm has enlisted Simon Kinberg, executive producer of Star Wars Rebels, to write and produce a new trilogy. Announced in November 2024, the project...
You know what? I think that may have been part of it, but I don't think that people had totally given up on Star Wars after The Last Jedi. I think that... I don't think people wanted to even see Harrison Ford replaced. I think they would have rather have seen his old ass running around with Chewie doing another movie. I think that they would have enjoyed that way more, Plus, it wasn't a great movie. It was just, you know what I mean? So, on top of the backlash from The Last Jedi, Harrison's not in it, and it being mediocre, of course it didn't do well. You know what I mean?
Builds on a 70-page treatment submitted in August 2025, with revisions expected by March 2026. While plot details remain unknown, the films may either extend the Skywalker saga beyond Episode 9 or explore a fresh era in the Star Wars timeline. Personally, you guys know I just want to see Old Republic. I think.
If you stick with the Skywalkers, excluding Rey can't even be in it. Or she's got to make an appearance, kind of like Jar Jar did in like The Last Jedi, not The Last Jedi, in Revenge of the Sith or whatever. He just said one thing and left. You can't go wrong with the Skywalkers in some form or fashion. But if y'all gonna do what you did before, it ain't gonna matter. All three are gonna flop. No one, you already see how bad The Mandalorian and Grogu is doing. That movie should have came out a while ago. After season 2, it should have came out. And it should have had Luke in it too.
I think if we're going to do anything, we should go a few hundred years after Episode 9, a few thousand years before The Phantom Menace. My vote is Old Republic. I think there's so many stories that we can tell there and really flesh out a great part of the Star Wars
that'd be cool.
Galaxy. A deliberate course correction after the sequel era. The sequel trilogy, though financially successful, was criticized for narrative inconsistency and abrupt creative shifts. Mm-hmm. Even the actors didn't know what the plot points were, who their characters even were. I mean, poor Daisy Ridley, she didn't even know that...
And word was that they were going to make her and Finn Jedis. They didn't do that. They totally effed it up. Totally. And I was happy for Boyega. I saw his reaction and everything, and he loved it. He went nuts when he saw himself with the lightsaber, man. I would have. And then they did that to him.
A Palpatine until the very end when they decided to rewrite a lot of stuff in Episode 9 while they were filming and make her a Palpatine. Whereas originally they thought, maybe we'll make her a Kenobi or something like that. Such as changes to Rey's backstory. Kinberg's trilogy is intended to provide a cohesive storyline guided by a single vision, echoing George Lucas's unified approach to the original and prequel trilogies. This comes as The Mandalorian and Grogu and other recent projects have sparked debate over the franchise's reliance on nostalgia and familiar beats. Well, that's good. That is everything we have always wanted. I know it sounds like, wow, we're finally getting good storytelling. It's,
I don't care if you're using nostalgia or not, as long as you do it right. You can bring us something new correctly, and you can bring its nostalgia correctly. Correct, nostalgia is safe, but as you can see, you've been up with nostalgia, so it doesn't matter. Because with the Kenobi show, with what they finally did in season 3 of The Mandalorian, what they did with Boba Fett, you know what I'm saying? Like, shoot, what you did with Luke in The Last Jedi. And like, nostalgia is not going to work if you use it wrong. So it doesn't matter. You know how to do it right. You just refuse to.
We shouldn't have to be begging for that, for the bare minimum, right? When you go to write a story, especially something that's part of a multi-billion-dollar brand, the most powerful IP in the world, for media, I would say, is Lucasfilm, is Star Wars. It's timeless. Star Wars is probably one of the most well-known franchises on the face of the earth.
It's definitely lost its power because of what Disney's done to it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it used to be the most powerful. Now it's GTA.
Earth. And the fact that they went into the sequel trilogy without any proper planning and just kind of measuring their lightsabers, so to speak, JJ and Ryan, it's, we were the ones that were impacted by it the most. They don't care. They got paid millions of dollars. They just added another project to the resume. This one says Star Wars.
So uncivilized.
I was just thinking about this the other day. What if, like, there's a ton of people at Disney that did not want to do all this woke garbage, right? They must have been crying. They must have been losing their minds. Remember in The Naked Gun, when he knocked out Enrico Palazzo? He was out there singing the national anthem. And Enrico Palazzo was wrapped up, tied up in the back, losing it while he was singing that. Because everybody thought that that was him singing that badly, the national anthem. They had to have their hands tied because the whole machine was moving toward that garbage that was costing everyone billions of dollars a year, right? That's how I imagine them. Just sitting there screaming, seeing these IPs destroyed.
Right? Like Rian Johnson went on to do even bigger things. He got $100 million deal for Knives Out or something like that for Netflix. So, I mean, to him, he doesn't care. Former Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy confirmed Kinberg's treatment is being refined, with current co-presidents Dave Filoni and Lin-Wen Brennan showing support. However, the company may wait to gauge the theatrical performance of The Mandalorian and Grogu and Sean Levy's Star Wars Starfighter before committing. And I think that's so ridiculous because they can't base it on things that perhaps won't be as successful as an old public movie.
People do that all the time. Yeah, people do that all the time. Like, I remember, and I don't even know if this was a thing or not, but like people were talking about with Zack Snyder with like Rebel Moon. Like if Rebel Moon was like huge, and from what I hear, its numbers are better than what people think it was. But to me, I'm a fan, but it was just okay for me. It wasn't really my thing. But people were saying like, like if these blow up, like he's like DC's looking at him like they blow up, we'll bring you back type of thing to finish your thing. But so say that was true. But that's Rebel Moon. He already has a vast audience for his DCEU. Like he doesn't need Rebel Moon to blow up to bring people in for I don't know why they think like that all the time. You know what I'm saying?
12. While the sequel trilogy was really bad, it alienated a lot of people, and it was super disjointed. You can't argue that because even the actors themselves had a major problem with the production of it. It did make a lot of money, and I do think that episode 10 would
because they had popularity armor. But we've seen that popularity wane, haven't we? And now they no longer have any armor to protect them.
Make more money than The Mandalorian and Grogu, and it would make more money than the Sean Levy film. Which, in fact, I heard that the Sean Levy film, this is just rumor, is all about Ryan Gosling's character taking a Force-sensitive boy to Rey. But don't quote me on that. That's just what's out there. If approved, Kinberg's trilogy could chart the largely unexplored period after The Rise of Skywalker, or we go way back, offering opportunities for new characters, worlds, and conflicts. This would contrast with recent projects like The Mandalorian and Grogu, which operated within familiar timelines and leaned on established lore. A clean slate narrative could help the franchise move beyond repetitive callbacks and reignite the sense of discovery that defined its earliest successes. I really don't think this is rocket science. I think if they just make a cohesive story, have one guy that does it and writes it and directs it, well, that didn't help last time, and have it be at least cohesive, I think, and along one idea, one path, I think then we'll at least get something that won't be super disjointed and could possibly make sense. Now, will it make sense in the world of Star Wars that George Lucas created? Time will tell. That's a pretty big ask, unfortunately, it seems, today. But I do think that if they are focused on correcting their mistakes, rectifying their mistakes from the sequel trilogy, and that's just, having a clear vision, a clear outline of what is episode 10, 11, 12 going to be about, where does that lead us going forwards, and how each one in succession is going to fill in the gaps for the next one and lead to the next one for a penultimate finale, climax event. How are we going to...
Yeah, they can do that all they want. If it's not, they can have a clear purpose and all that other crap. There's a whole lot of stuff out there with clear purpose that is failing. So, here's my thing. I told you guys, if Disney, if the glimmer of light that Disney is starting to do things right, that rhyme they play 8 gang bars, album dropping next week, was The Punisher One Last Kill, then that means that they're truly going to be back. However, if that's just a one-off thing that they did right and everything else is going to continue to be woked up, they're going to drive their stock into the effing ground. Post comments down below. Let me know what you all think. Get over to Star Wars Theory and subscribe. Tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you. 10 million subscribers. Woo!